All right. We about to get this thing cracking, guys. Like always, I gotta wait until it's playing on video here so I know that it's actually rolling. So give me just a second and we'll get it cracking. Looks like it just started, guys. So let me go ahead and pause it there. So, I'm not being distracted by the running screen, but I will be able to at least see your comments. So let me just wait a few more minutes until some of you guys get up in here to make sure you guys are here. And we'll get it cracking, man. We will get it cracking here in just a moment. I see a few people are already in. We'll wait a few more minutes and we'll get started, man. And I hope you guys can do me a favor and let me know how everything is looking and how everything is sounding. Gotten some new hardware, got a new PC. Finally, I got another PC. So I'm just kind of doing a test stream, if you will. And why not do it with Terrible Towel Tuesday? And, I got many things to come as far as, now being able to stream properly with the PC rather than the MacBook, the laptop. So, yeah, there you have it. All right, I see Austin saying, what's up? Ronell Jackson is saying, what's up? So I guess you guys can hear me. So thumbs up. Appreciate you guys giving me that feedback. Look at that. My thumb is a little ashy right there. It is what it is, man. But all right, let's go ahead and get it cracking, man. Marquise Williams says, what's up? And we'll talk about a couple things, man. Not a whole lot to talk about today, of course. While we're waiting for the training camp to get underway. Training camp, I said cap. As you can see, I'm talking too fast, guys. But as we wait for training camp to get underway, not a whole lot to talk about, man. But I did find a couple things to talk about here. As you're probably wondering what the title is about there. Jerome Bettis made that statement. He said he doesn't think that the Steelers nor Le'Veon Bell is as good without one another. So I'll definitely talk about that a little bit. I also want to talk about, man, James Jones and Maurice Jones-Drew. They was giving their recap, or I guess their predictions on what they think the Steelers will do in the upcoming season. Is funny, man, that they said that they think the Steelers will get swept by the Browns. So I'll give my thoughts on that. And then the last thing I want to talk about, man, give me just a moment, guys. I see a couple of you guys writing some comments. The next thing I definitely want to talk about, guys, is they are saying, it's a guy out there saying that, I believe he's a beat writer perhaps from Green Bay. Let me get his information so I can tell you exactly who said it. But he's basically saying that the Steelers are showing all indications, man, that Morgan Burnett will not be playing free safety. So that only leaves Sean Davis and Terrell Edmonds. So let me definitely go ahead and get all of this stuff situated. I'm sorry, guys, if you probably heard some audio there playing in the background as I opened up the video. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. So first and foremost, let me see who's in here so I can address all of you guys. I see that I already spoke to Marquise and Austin and Rodnell, Jonathan Groove, Jalen, Kenyon. What's up, Kenyon? Now, why would you listen to the... Yeah, exactly, Kenyon. So, all right, let's go ahead and get cracking, man. I don't want to hold you guys too long. So, let's talk about the first topic, shall we? Are Le'Veon Bell... Is Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers as good without the other? It's a very good question. That's a very good question, man. That's an interesting question that Jerome Bettis posed out there for Le'Veon Bell. You got to respect it. Jerome Bettis, being a Steeler great. We all feel like if Le'Veon Bell is able to stay healthy, stay with the Steelers, he could very well be probably the best running back the Steelers have ever put behind the center. I don't know. I think I might have to agree with Jerome Bettis just slightly. And let me give you my sides of the coin in both ways. Le'Veon Bell has a very unique running style. We all know that. The interesting thing is, man, that he's developed this chemistry with the offensive lineman that we currently have. Now, I don't want to just hang my hat on that because it doesn't mean that Le'Veon Bell wouldn't be able to develop chemistry with another offensive line. It doesn't mean that couldn't happen. But there's something to be said about the way he runs and the way his chemistry works currently with the offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So do I think if Le'Veon Bell does not come to a contract agreement, gets franchise tag, Steelers shake his hand, they part ways at the end of this season, do I think Le'Veon Bell would have a great season somewhere else right away? No, I actually would not think that. And shout outs to Jesse Williams, man. I appreciate the donation there. Definitely thank you for that, guys. Always love you guys for that. I don't think Le'Veon Bell would have the same type of production the very next season that he would have with Pittsburgh. Only because I feel like it's just the way his style and the way, you know, the offensive line complements what he does. That's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that he wouldn't still be a great player. I'm pretty sure, depending on the right situation, you know, in the given scheme that he's in or what have you, he would probably still excel. But I think there is something to be said about the chemistry that he has built in Pittsburgh with Roethlisberger, with the offensive line. And I just don't think he is as productive right out the chute with another team. Now, maybe mid-season, perhaps. Or maybe the season after that, perhaps. But let's not forget he's getting a little older. But I don't think Le'Veon Bell is the same animal because, again, I don't know if there's other teams. I'm sure there are, but just for sake of argument, I don't know what other teams out there would utilize him the way Pittsburgh has. I'm talking about giving this guy plus 300 touches last several seasons. You see what I'm saying? You know, you think about some of these other teams, man, they probably would feature more guys and then mix in Le'Veon Bell, just depending on where he went, obviously. And I don't think Le'Veon Bell is the type of runner that you just give him the ball repeatedly, you know, 30 to 40 carries a game. I don't see that. And let me explain to you what I mean. Not that he's not capable, because I think his durability, when he's healthy, you know, we know he's had injury problems, but I'm talking about when he's healthy, he can carry the mail in 30, 40 touches a game. Maybe not all carries, but this guy has been featured in the offense quite heavy. Doesn't seem to get tired. Wants more. Seems to be that fourth down, fourth quarter type of guy that you would want. He's stronger. Remember how Marion Barber used to be for the Cowboys late in the game? Le'Veon Bell seems like he's that type of guy. He's really not tired out there, right? So he's capable. But production-wise, in terms of just running the football, there are some hits and misses with Le'Veon Bell. We all know that Le'Veon Bell is not the super fast guy. We all know that. He's not a flyer. In fact, and shout outs to Steelers Depot, I caught this news earlier today. Alex Kozor reported that the Steelers last season, I didn't know this, guys. Maybe some of y'all did. Last season, the Steelers were 31st in the league in terms of the longest rush from scrimmage at 29 yards. We were only ahead of Cincinnati. So think about that. We only had a long of 29. That's crazy, right? So let's flip it to the Steelers side. Are the Steelers as good without Le'Veon Bell? Obviously not, the way they feature him. But could the Steelers be successful without him? Perhaps. You know, maybe if you get another running back that is has a little more speed, a little more pop and open field. I don't think the offense would be trash without Le'Veon Bell, but the way it's currently constructed, yeah, I don't think the Steelers are as good offensively without Le'Veon Bell. And I think the same applies to him. So I think that was a great assessment by Jerome Bettis. And obviously, you know, I'm sure Bettis is trying to encourage him to get the deal done. You know, we all know sometimes, you know, some of these comments come out of a place of love, or sometimes it comes out of a place of bias, or wherever it comes from. However you want to see it, I think I would have to agree with Jerome Bettis, the big bus, and say, yeah, I think he might be right, at least initially. Like I said, it's not to say that Le'Veon Bell couldn't excel somewhere else. I just don't think it happens that very next season. Just my opinion. I could be dead wrong in that. He could go somewhere and rush for 2,000 yards. Who knows? But I don't see it happening. You know, just looking around the league, looking at the teams that would get him. Think about all of the teams that have their running back locked in. They're not going to really, spend a lot of money on a running back. Those teams probably already have the premier guys. So if you look at the teams that he would probably end up with, I just don't think he'd be as successful, man. Not because it's just Le'Veon Bell, but just because of other offenses might not be that successful. You know what I'm saying? So there's my 2 cents on that. Now I'm going to hold this one until later because I want you guys to comment on this. So we're going to hold the Jones Maurice Jones-Drew and James Jones comments. So let's go directly to what is being said, that they feel like Morgan Burnett will not play free safety. I'm going to look over here at the computer, guys, and I'll give you a name. It's being reported by a Tim Benz. Tim Benz is basically saying, I'll read it here so you're going to see me looking at the computer. Every indication has been that Keith Butler would prefer Burnett to play in roles other than free safety, including strong safety and dimebacker role that he used often in Green Bay. Now, this doesn't come as much of a surprise to any of us, perhaps. We all probably, pretty much said that. But what is something that's very interesting, man, is for once you can look at a story and maybe say, okay, they might be telling the truth. There may be some validity to that. Because again, if you've been watching during the mini camp, if you've been watching, early on in that part of the, the off season there, football in shorts as they call it. I'm just one of those crazy Steelers fans that read everything, look at all the interviews, go to Steelers.com, go to SteelersDepot.com, the Tribune. I mean, I'm doing it all. That's just who I am. So I find out information from time to time, and if you have been following that, it had already been stated by Keith Butler, and Sean Davis said himself that there hadn't been a defined role. There hadn't been a definitive, guy who's going to be strong, who's going to be free. Said they both pretty much have been getting rotation at both, and they've been switching from being high and one playing low, etc., etc. Very reminiscent of what we've seen with Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark. The only difference there is Polamalu used to make that call. I thought that was fascinating when Ryan Clark said, look, sometimes Troy come out and be like, hey, go up, I'm going to play deep. He was just that type of player. So I'm not going to compare it to that, but it's kind of reminiscent of that, saying that they both could play either roles. So I thought that was very, very intriguing to hear that, because most of the time, we know how it works under the Tomlin system and under his coaches. They usually come out and dead anything that is not a possibility. So if it was a guaranteed fact that Sean Davis would still be strong safety, they would have said that. So the fact that they were teeter-totting, on the line there, and now you hear this report, okay. Now, here's the question. How do you guys feel about Sean Davis being at free safety? Me personally, and I know we discussed this before, probably even last week. A lot of times we rehash a lot of things that we've talked about. I'm cool with Sean Davis being in free safety. I think Sean Davis is probably a better free safety in terms of what I think his ability is. And I say I think because I'm not a coach. I'm not an NFL scout. But I'm just a fan who played football and have a little knowledge of football and uses the eye test. I think Sean Davis is better when he's reacting center field. I don't necessarily think Sean Davis is the best in terms of coverage when he's playing in the box and then he has to line up one-on-one with a tight end, etc., etc. It might not be his strong suit. I think he's more suited to be that roam guy, rangy center fielder, can get some pass breakups. He's had some. He had some relatively good ones, even though it's, he hasn't been that breakout player yet. He's done some good things. We've seen the potential. I think that's where he belongs. Morgan Burnett, on the other hand, he comes with that pedigree. Everybody knows he's been used for multiple things, multiple situations. He is known for being able to line up, head up with your tight end and going one-on-one. And we saw what happened in the New England game in those final couple minutes. So maybe Morgan Burnett might have been able to been a guy that could have helped out there. You know what I mean? Same thing Cam Chancellor did a few years back when he went head up against Gronkowski. So those type of situations, man, it leads me to believe that, yes, what is being reported by this guy, what's his name again? Tim Benz, I think I said. Let me make sure. Yes, Tim Benz. Leads me to believe that he might be on to something there. So that's cool with me. And again, let's not rule out Terrell Edmonds, but I do believe that in the first year, just kind of understanding how the Steelers work, Terrell Edmonds is probably going to be the guy who comes in a rotational piece. He's going to be perhaps a nickel or a dime backer, a sub package. I definitely see him playing a lot because it's sub package football. We all know that. But I think as far as who goes out there in the base defense, just my gut feeling, as of right now, Sean Davis at free, Morgan Burnett at strong. And y'all know the Steelers like to go with, if they have experience and a capable guy in that position, they're going to go with the experience as far as being on the Steelers team first. So I think just by sheer default, it's going to push Terrell Edmunds to being the number 3, safety, but more or less a starting safety and sub package. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, now the last thing before I get to you guys' comments. See, I'm getting better, guys. I'm learning how to speed through these things and, kind of set up the topics and not be rambling and talking forever. The next thing, James Jones, ex-Packer, that we know him mostly from, as well as Maurice Jones-Drew, everybody knows MJD. So, on the NFL Network, what have you, they always do their predictions and what do they think a team is going to go based on how the current roster is constructed. Right now, things could change. You never know what's going to happen with injury or late free agent pickup, et cetera, et cetera. But they try to give their predictions as far as what each team is going to do. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I will give James, Maurice Jones-Drew, I will give him a little more credit than James Jones, because I think, he was more generous by saying that I think he said the Steelers would go, did he say 10-6 or 11-5, something like that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I could see 11-5 also with the Steelers. I don't necessarily see a 13-3 again, primarily because of the schedule, as well as, I still think we are that putting the pieces together type of team. And I think with having some turnover, even though we could argue that we're going to get an upgrade at safety and things like that, I think with having some turnover and having some new players, etc., I think it's very easy to slip and lose maybe 1 or 2 more games than you did the prior season. 11-5, we got to think, guys, that's still decent. It still gets them in the playoffs for the most part, you would think. Still gives them a shot to win the division, you would think. So I'm not, not disappointed by that. However, let's say we all get fooled and the Steelers defense comes out there and balls out of control. The offense continues to do what they've been doing in the last few years. You might get a 13-3. Heck, you might get a 14-2. I know that's wishful thinking, but I'm just saying. On paper, yay. But if you really look at it, I can't really argue with 11-5. But here's the thing that cracked me up. Now, I know their job is just to go out on the limb and things like that. But these guys had the audacity to say, oh, he said 10-6. Okay. They said that the Steelers will be swept by the Browns. Wow. Now, I know if I'm not mistaken, because I just saw the highlights of it. I didn't really watch the whole thing. I know that they normally break it up. Like one guy picks the first 8 and one guy picks the second 8. Because I think even Jones-Drew said that the Steelers would beat the Patriots this year. So to me, it's just hilarious that if they're going to get swept by the Browns, that, MJD has them beating the Patriots. But again, like I said, if I'm not mistaken, I think that James Jones had the first half of the season, which was the first 8, which we do play Cleveland, I think, within the first 8. So there you have it. But, man, I'm going to be honest with you, man. If that happened, wow. We're either going to be saying there's competition back in the division across the board, or we're going to be saying, wow, that still is on a downward slide. That's the only way. Listen, man, sweep them? I don't see us getting swept by the Browns, especially with us playing them earlier on the second time. It's not like an end of the season type of game. The starter's going to be out there in both. Now, I was on record saying, and it's funny, guys, I don't know if y'all can hear it. I can hear people already shooting off fireworks. And it's not even the 4th yet. But anyway, I was on record saying, man, that don't be surprised if we mess around going Cleveland and lose that first game. Don't be surprised. Don't let it surprise you. I'm just saying. They're going to be high off of energy. They got some new talent in there. They got a talented ball team anyway. And, on paper, they just haven't been able to put it together. But you got all of the hype around the new quarterback. Now, we don't know if it is going to be Baker Mayfield or if it is going to be Tyrod Taylor. But either way, it's a new challenge for the Steelers in terms of the guy being a quarterback for the Browns. We have faced off against Tyrod, but it still would be, you know, a newly led Browns team, whether it's Tyrod or Baker. If it's Baker, you know, the hype is going to be crazy around him. Josh Gordon is back in the fold. He's going to have a full off season. You know, maybe he's able to produce like he was starting to do last year. They got defensive pieces, your Myles Garrett's. They got Jabril Peppers, you would expect to take a little leap, you know, and they got Denzel Ward. He's a rookie, but hey, you know, he's a nice corner, which I'm sure he's gonna try to feel good about himself and probably want to follow AB around. I don't advise that. And then you got guys like who else did they get? Oh, they got the other Chubb. They got what's his name? Nick Chubb is his name, right? The running back, if I'm not mistaken. And they already got Carlos Hyde. I mean, listen, there's some things as a Steelers fan, knowing how our team has played against certain opponents, there's a reason for us to feel less than confident going into week 1. Let's be honest. I can see that. And I'll be pissed even still, but I can see us going into Cleveland. You know, they got a new regime going on, and they trying to make a statement. They played us tough the last couple of seasons. Think about the Deshaun Kaiser games, both games. Very close. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, losing to them again? No, I ain't seeing that. Definitely not at Heinz Field. I ain't seeing that. Like I said, if that happens, we might as well kiss the season goodbye. No disrespect to the Browns, I'm just saying, even though they got some pieces there, they shouldn't be better or as good as some of the other teams we're definitely going to have to face. You know, we got some teams to face this year, man. The Falcons, you know, the Chargers, teams like that, you know, could cause some problems for us. So we're going to have to be on our square. So that's just my thoughts there, man. I think James Jones is crazy. I'm going to put most of it on him. I don't think we're swept by the Browns, but if we are, oh boy, what a terrible town season this is gonna be, because y'all know I'm gonna be in rare form along with you guys. So that's all I got, man, as far as my topic. So like always, let's take a look at some of the things you guys are saying. Fireworks are going off in the background. Clearly they're ready for the 4th here, and then we'll get up out of here. So let me see what you guys got going on here, man. Let's see. Again, Jesse Williams, man. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the donation, man. Always love that. Respect, man. Let's see. Chris Castile says, I think he knows the O-line and how they move, so I think he won't be successful anywhere else. Hey, man, I kind of feel that too. I think at least the first year away from the Steelers, you're going to feel a little sting, both the Steelers and him. But I don't think he is as successful without the Steelers' offensive line, at least in the beginning. Austin says, if he went to a terrible O-line like the Seahawks, he would do terrible there. I would have to agree. Pun on terrible. Let's see. Jesse says, I think the familiarity with the offensive line helps his running style, so I don't think he would be productive on another team. Everybody's saying the same thing. My boy Kenya says, yeah, we never saw a long run from us last year. Actually, the screen pass was a run to us. Todd Haley loved that screen pass. I think Randy will do different stuff. Yeah, I hope so, man. And you're right. Todd Haley definitely was in love with screens, really, really in love with bubble screens, or the quick wide receiver screen, but we'll see what happens. Gerard Parrott says, me too. I watch all of the interviews and I read all the articles. Yeah, man, we just crazy fanatics, right? We just crazy like that. Kenyon again says, yes, his read and reaction skills are a work in progress. Thank you, Sim, for reminding me of Davis getting pumped in the Hey, man, I got to do it, man. My apologies, man. But, yeah, Lord have mercy. Let's go back to that really, really quick. Listen, like I said, I will never, and I have vowed to never do this ever again. I've done it in the past, just like all of you guys do, and I'm not saying that any of you guys are wrong for doing this, but I have vowed to not say a pro athlete is a bum or trash, because I didn't make it to the NFL. However, but I am allowed to give my opinion and say, well, he's just not as good as others in his position. Man, I don't think Sean Davis sucks or anything like that. But boy, if anybody had any opinions about Sean Davis, that was tough to watch. Granted, it was Gronkowski. And it's very possible that Gronkowski could have done that to quite a few safeties in the league, but it was so much surrounding it. Steelers had the lead. Brady and them about 2 minutes or so left. And it's like everybody in the world knew where the ball was going and they just couldn't stop it. Couldn't stop it. Even when it was in the middle of the field. 2 deep passes down the middle of the field. Where's Mike Mitchell to help out? And then when you get in the end zone for the 2-point conversion. Oh, man. And if it wasn't bad enough, Gronkowski does a little laugh and points down that. Oh, man. Man, that was a tough one to swallow there, brother. The one says they're extremely bold for that one. Yes, they are. Very, very bold for making that kind of statement. Luigi, if I'm saying that correctly, says Browns play division opponents tough. They absolutely do. And I like what you said before that. You said that's not that far-fetched. Listen, man. Excuse me again. First call for Terrible Towel Tuesday, guys. I'm getting better with the allergies. Listen, let's not sleep on the Browns. That's all I'm saying. But they ain't got no business losing to the Browns twice. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's out of the realm of comprehension that we could go into Cleveland and lose the first game. Let's face it. Let's take ourselves out of just being diehard Steelers fans for a moment. The Browns supposed to win that. Technically, they supposed to. You know, they're supposed to be high off of life. They got new quarterback, new regime, all of this. Even if, you know, they're going to be in a situation where even if their starter gets hurt, they got another guy that can do some things. They're supposed to win the game. So I can't be that mad about that one if the Steelers were to lose. But if they lose twice, if you get swept by the Browns, it was bad enough the Ravens did that to us a couple years ago. And, you know, all due respect to the Ravens. Y'all, you know, I always say that. I respect their brand of football, that organization in terms of the team they put on the field, how they play defense, that hard-nosed, grit style, like the Steelers. Nothing but respect to them. But it hurt bad enough losing to them twice. Can you imagine how we going to feel as fans if the Steelers are swept by the Browns? Whoa. Let me get off that. Yeah, Nick Chubb. And, Jarvis Landry. Let's not forget about Jarvis Landry. Michael Kendrick. Listen, man, I'm trying to tell you, the Browns got some pieces. They got some pieces. The one says, hey, honestly, do you think they ever going to bounce back from Shazier being injured? Tough to say, man. We're definitely going to suffer from his loss once again. That speed that he brought to the table is unmatched. Even though, you know, let's face it, Shazier wasn't perfect. It's still, that's a huge loss. Huge loss. Anthony Scott says, Le'Veon Bell reminds me of a prime Willie Parker. Now, Anthony, I'm going to have to ask you to explain that. I'm going to have to ask you to explain that. Willie Parker? I'm saying I'm asking you to explain it because I just want to know what angle you're coming from. Because everybody knows that Willie Parker was known for his speed, Fast Willie. Le'Veon Bell ain't even close in that category. So, you know, explain what you mean by that. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's an opinion, but I'm just curious to know what angle you're taking there. Christian Weatherspoon with the Steelers logo as his avatar. Shout outs. He says Todd Haley has a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, and that's another thing. He already out there talking, saying he looks to bring some things that, you know, he had at the Steelers over there at Cleveland. And rightfully so, because outside of the quarterback, you know, they got some comparable pieces. Not as good, but I mean, you got a beast wide receiver in Josh Gordon. You got a couple running backs. I can see you wanting to do a couple things. You got a Swiss Army knife utility type of receiver and a you know, a Jarvis Landry, a combative type of guy. You know, he's sort of like what, you know, what Juju might become. See what I'm saying? So I can see him saying that, but yeah, he gonna have a little chip on his shoulder. Cry so hard. I'm thinking the Browns are going 7-9 this year. Yeah. And imagine this. Imagine if 2 of those 7 is on the Steelers. Remember what was it, 2 years ago? Remember when the Ravens went 5-11? And they beat Pittsburgh twice? I can't go through that, man. I can't go through that again. What up, Tony? My man, Tony, man. My bad. I forgot to text you, man. But I'm sure I probably told you this when we talked offline, Tony, man. But now, you know, the missus, you know, she's not doing her part-time thing anymore where she was, you know, invading the man cave here. So now I'm going to be doing these as live streams pretty much every week. Unless I have something to do, I'll do a pre-recorded. I'm going to try to lock down a time, guys. I mean, we'll get that finalized by the time training camp and the season starts. You know, I want to finalize a time so we can start at a certain time. You guys can expect me to be there. It'll probably be either 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and do it like that. And I'm going to try to condense the show as well, man, because I want to have it a little more structured where it's, you know, we talk about the topics, I chit-chat with y'all for a minute, and then we out of here just to keep it a little organized, man, because I know we could talk for days and days and days and go on and on and on, but y'all understand, man. I want to kind of keep it a little more professional in that regard. And I got some things, I believe, coming in the works, man, in terms of matter of fact, I'll put the challenge out there to you guys. In case you're wondering, the background that I'm using, anytime I use a photo like this, it's a photo that I've actually taken at Heinz Field, and I just put it behind me, put myself in front of a green screen, etc., etc. But I've been thinking about trying to get more of a, I don't want to say better, but you know, like a different kind of backdrop, you know, maybe like a Steelers skyline or something like that, something tailored for Terrible Towel Tuesday. So if any of you guys are good with making overlays and things like that, you know, in Photoshop, you know, definitely hit me up. Let me know. I'll be more than appreciative if one of you guys want to contribute to the cause and give you all the rightful credit, etc. If you want to contact me, man, you know how to do it. Most of you guys, well, some of you guys know me on the gaming aspect. The name is Sim F-Ball Critic, like it says here on the channel. And that is where you can reach me on any of the socials, man. Twitter, Instagram. If you want to shoot me an email, it's simfballcritic@gmail.com. So if any of you guys got skills and you want to, you know, create the overlay, if you will, or the backdrop for Terrible Towel Tuesday, let me know. I'll be more than happy. You know, and of course, we have to let the people vote on it. But if everybody thinks it's official and they want to rock with it, then that will be the official background for Terrible Towel Tuesday. So just had to say that really, really quick. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about, guys, and then we'll be out of here. Anthony Scott says, you're right with speed. They have different running styles, but I'm thinking along the lines where when Willie Parker wanted his money, he fell off. I believe the same is coming for Bet. Okay, now I got you. And see, and you know what, Anthony, man, I appreciate you explaining that, because again, it was, and I know you didn't take it this way, but it definitely wasn't a me challenging your comment. I was just interested to know what angle you were taking, and in that regard, absolutely right. Like everybody else has said, I just don't think he's the same guy elsewhere. He could prove us wrong, but we'll have to see. But hopefully, we don't see. So cool. All right, so the last thing here, last couple comments I'll read. Charlie Lawson says, how can you ever say your team could go 7-9? Oh, you trying to get on my boy, Tony? Yeah, man. Hey, listen, me and Tony, man, y'all should hear some of the conversations we have, man. Sometimes you just got to be real. That day could be coming. Let me tell you something. The day that the Steelers don't, you know, in order for us to not see 7-9 for a long time, Mason Rudolph better be the heir apparent. Because I'm telling you, the day that Ben Roethlisberger is no longer playing like Ben Roethlisberger, and then furthermore, the day that he retires, whoa. Whoa. Because then you got to consider, you guys like Antonio Brown going to be in his 30s around that time. Le'Veon Bell might be long gone by that time. You see what I'm saying? Guys like Cam Hayward could be on the way out. I'm just saying, 3-4 years, 5 years, you never know. We might have to go back into that rebuild. I mean, the Steelers, let's be honest with our team, man. We've only been upset because we haven't won a Super Bowl. But as far as winning, we've been doing it. So the day might come. I hope it doesn't, but the day might come when we in the slums again, man. So, yeah, you got to be real sometimes. And the last thing, man, Christian Witherspoon says, should we be worried about the offensive coordinator change? I don't think so. You know, Fichtner's been there. He was the quarterback's coach. Ben has a great relationship with Fichtner. It's funny, Tony and I talked about this too the other day as far as, you know, things that we think Fichtner can bring to the table. I think he's a little more creative. They're hinting that he's going to try to find more ways to get Le'Veon Bell the ball out in space. Maybe utilize him more in different type of route combinations and things like that. Because even though we've thrown the ball to Le'Veon quite a bit, a lot of it is checked down. And even when they split him out, it was the same basic route where they said Le'Veon Bell has a mean route tree. So we might see some very creative things. We might see some different alignments. You know, I would love, again, I've talked about this before, but I would love to see us utilize some of these pieces we have. You know, like I've seen the Chiefs do. Like I remember seeing a formation last year where it was Alex Smith, and then they had Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt on the opposite sides of Smith. Because if I'm not mistaken, Smith was in the pistol. He had Hunt on this side, Tyreek Hill on this side, and Kelsey lined up behind him. You don't know what's coming. You have no idea what's coming from that. You see what I'm saying? So I would love to see us get creative with the pieces that we have, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Fichtner is going to do. I don't think it's going to be like overly crazy. It's going to be familiar. But I think there's some wrinkles there that him and Ben have definitely talked about in the past. I'm sure talking about now. I'm sure he's installing some things. But I think also we're going to see a little more no huddle. That's where Ben excels, man. Let that man work out the no huddle. So that's it. That's all I got, man. I appreciate all of you guys coming through, man. Like always, man, you guys showing mad love. We got one dislike on the video, so I don't know if it's because you don't like the Steelers or if you don't like me. But either way, I'm sorry you had to experience it. But all right, man, you guys know I got to do some self-promotion. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you cut on the notifications. Ring that bell so you know when videos are available. And I promise, it'll never hurt you to hit that like button. All right, this was fun like always, man. I hope you guys have a happy 4th of July, but please be safe whatever you do. No drinking and driving, guys. I know we're knuckleheaded sometimes. I know we think we can do that. Let's be safe out there. All right, be responsible, be safe, have a good time, and hey, think about the Steelers. Here we go. Catch you guys next week on Terrible Towel Tuesday. All right, peace.